Hello, welcome to a tutorial on instructing how to get colors or get a color palette from other images. As you can see here on the screen, I have a really wonderful painting by a fairly famous painter that some of you may be familiar with, John Singer Sargent. In this particular tutorial, I'm talking about how to take some of these colors so that you could use a similar color palette, or the same color palette really, in one of your renderings or colorizations. We do this in order to kind of keep a controlled, focused, and considered color palette. One of the aspects of doing this is it prevents you from having to go out and make your own. You're more than welcome to do this, and really for some circumstances that's going to be most appropriate. But in some circumstances, it is better to quickly get something rendered out and start making decisions than it is to really spend a lot of time worrying about which particular shade of green, or is this yellow going to be light enough, or is this too vibrant, etc. Marshall, one of our faculty here, calls this decision fatigue. So I'm just going to show you very quickly how to start getting these. You'll notice up here in the top right that I have something called swatches selected. Usually when you open Photoshop, color will be the first thing here. You can use color to pick basically anything from the rainbow, and then it's further white and black, and then overall it's less intensity to the left and more intensity to the right, and then darker in value down. So this is the standard color picker for Photoshop. In our circumstance, what we want is to have consistency though. So with this, you can literally pick any color that's available to us, several million colors that are available to us. We want to limit that to a level where every color we use will be in relationship to each other and will be consistent. A lot of classical painters are really good at this. John Singer Sargent is just one of them. But you can also do this from natural photographs as well, as the lighting and the scene decoration should all be pretty consistent since everything's receiving the same light source, and you should be able to tell which areas in a photograph or even a movie screenshot seem to have things properly associated with each other. What we're going to do is we're going to go to swatches. Your swatches palette should probably end somewhere after this brown right here. I've already picked some colors from a previous image that I'll be using in another tutorial. In particular, it is not even that one. This one, which that same faculty member Marshall has provided us. But we could do it equally to something like this, which is Mobius, Jean Giraud, who's a really famous illustrationist who worked on several movies and comics and graphic novels. We'll be using this one though because I think colors are just a little bit simpler and easier to gather. All we need to do is come over here to our eyedropper tool. There's a chance it may be underneath one of these tools, whether it be the ruler or the color sampler. We really do want the eyedropper tool in this circumstance, so I'm going to go ahead and click that. And all we have to do is start selecting which colors we want. The method that you do this in will depend on you and what makes sense. I personally prefer to handle one set of materials and then move on to another set of materials. So in this circumstance, I'm going to start with the shaded portions. So this, I'm going to do this sail here. I'm going to get this orange color. And now that I have this orange color selected, you'll notice if I go back to color, it's changed here. I can just come over here and click and just left click, and it will ask me to add a new swatch, and I'll go ahead and hit OK. It doesn't really matter what name it is. I'll select this other color here, click, and I will continue to do so until I get as many colors as I need from this sail. So you'll notice these four colors right here are all pretty united. They all seem to be analogous, or this one is slightly cooled and this is slightly warmed. By doing this, we can start to capture essences of the light of this drawing in the renders that we are doing. Now, at this point, you may want to keep selecting colors as you need them. You could probably do an interesting rendering with this, but you may need some whites and some cool colors, such as stuff on this rock here. I don't think I really need any of this yellow. It seems really similar to these colors on the building and on the sail. But I do definitely want to get the kind of color range of this more white rock here in the front. So I'm going to actually select the darker stuff first. Create a new swatch. And I'm giving myself just enough room here to kind of play with the colors. You'll notice that some of these are really similar looking, but just slightly off. That may be appropriate at certain instances if I need something that has lower intensity or it's just slightly different. And all these have been cooler colors off of this rock. And I will move into the warmer colors. We'll get one that's slightly yellower. And you're really not limited by the amount that you have here. If you have several scroll downs worth of colors, that may be too much, but all I'm trying to do is give myself a robust enough palette in order to work with whenever I move into the next thing. I'll do the same thing to some of the water here. A really, really dark, almost black there, slightly greenish violet. You'll notice that these are all really dark next to each other. And most of the stuff here is reflections of the other area. You'll notice that it's just slightly bluer than these two. But really, the stuff that we've picked up, let's say this blue up here, which is actually similar to this down here. Maybe some of the yellowish, bluish white up there. Kind of, actually it's really gray. That's really about the extent of the colors in this entire scene. You don't really need a huge wide swath of colors like the stuff up here on the top of these swatches in order to convey the information and the experience that you want to convey. You really only need a simple refined palette here, something that won't distract too much from the drawing that you're doing or the information you're trying to represent, but will provide you enough context and subtlety in order to communicate with your viewer. And really, that's all I would need to do. I will actually be using these types of colors whenever I do my other aspects in this tutorial, just so that it'll be a little bit more consistency, since a lot of people will be using this image as they work along with me. But I wanted to show you that you could use any type of image that you wanted, whether it be something like this, whether it be some crazy complementary red and green color palette, or really there's even nodes of tertiary in here, or triadic color palettes here, or if you want to pull something from, you know, a classical painter or famous cinematographic or photographic images, that may help you. I hope that helps, and good luck.